Okay. All right, so have you girls ever come across a word in your reading and you didn't know the meaning of it?
Yes.
Yeah, and you know what? You think that ever happens to me?
Yeah.
It does. It happens to everybody. So coming across a word that you don't know the meaning of is very common. But what good readers do is they take some time and try to help figure out the meaning of the word rather than just skipping it. So it's not that good readers never come across words they don't know, because everybody comes across words they don't know. But good readers take the time to try to figure it out. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, okay, is using the words, the context, using the words around the unknown word to help you figure out the meaning. So, if I say, the blanc I had for breakfast was delicious, write on your whiteboard what you think a blanc is. And hint, that's a made-up word. So you have to use the context to figure out what it means. So if I say, the blanc I had for breakfast was delicious, write on your whiteboard what you think a blanc is. You can be specific or you can be general. The blanc I had for breakfast this morning was delicious. Okay. Abby, so what do you think a blanc is?
Food or a type of cereal?
Okay, and what makes you think that it's a food or a type of cereal?
Because it said in the story.
In the sentence?
In the sentence that I had blanc for breakfast and it was very good.
Mm-hmm. Very good. So if you're having it for breakfast, it's a type of food, and cereal is a type of food you'd have for breakfast. Good. What did you say?
I just said good food.
Good. And why'd you say good food rather than just
Because you
food?
said it was delicious.
Because I said it was delicious. Excellent. And
And
what?
maybe something sweet.
Okay. What makes you think something sweet?
Because you said it was really good and a lot of things that are sweet are really good.
Excellent. Very good. So you girls did a great job using the context, because there is no such thing as a blanc. Good. Now erase and listen to the sentence. I was so exhausted after blanking that I had to rest my legs. I was so exhausted after blanking that I had to rest my legs. So again, what do you think blanking means? So you can just. So remember, you're just writing, what do you think blanking means in this case? If the sentence is, I was so exhausted after blanking that I had to rest my legs. So what did you think blanking means? Layla, how about you go first this time?
Running because you're resting your legs.
Running because I'm resting my legs. Excellent. What did you say, Callie?
You took a long run.
So what does blanking mean?
Like jogging.
Jogging. Okay. And what did you write, Abby?
Running or jogging and maybe skipping.
Or skipping. Excellent. So I don't know if you guys realized, but in my first sentence when I said the blanc I had for breakfast was delicious, you all picked a noun. So you said the food that I ate, right? But on this one, you turned it it wasn't a noun, but blanking is a what?
Verb.
A verb. Very good, because when you add ing to a word, you make it a verb. So that's a real important clue when you're trying to figure out the meaning of a word. Very often, you can tell what part of speech it is, and that's going to make a big difference when you're trying to determine the meaning. So excellent. All of you picked a verb, and yes, so in this case, blonking would mean running or jogging or skipping because my legs were tired. So you use that clue, the context clue of that you were tired, and it was my legs in particular that were tired. So it wasn't like I was lifting weights because my legs were tired. Good. All right, last sentence. You ready? The painting was the most Blanc picture I had ever seen. The painting was the most Blanc picture I had ever seen. So again, what do you think Blanc means in this case? Excellent. I'm going to read your responses. I see beautiful, I see pretty or fancy, beautiful. Very good. So what kind of word is beautiful? It's not a noun, it's not a verb. Anybody know what the describing words are called?
Literacy?
No? Good try. So adjectives. Adjectives are words that describe. So you each put either beautiful or pretty. What was the clue in the sentence that led you to believe that Blanc, in this case, meant pretty or beautiful? The Blanc, the painting was the most Blanc picture I'd ever seen. What makes you think it's beautiful? Go ahead.
Because it says the painting was the most Blanc thing I've ever seen.
Okay, so Blanc was describing the picture, right? So it's an adjective describing the picture. Any other ideas?
Maybe because it said is the most Blanc pretty picture I've ever seen. It's almost like you know the word because it's like there's a blank space.
You know what? That is an excellent point. And you know what? A very simple but very effective strategy when you're trying to figure out the meaning of an unknown word is to simply put in a word that makes sense. So I think what you were kind of saying, what you were doing in your head was the painting was the most beautiful picture I'd ever seen. That makes sense. So your mind wants to put a word in there that makes sense. I was so exhausted after running that I had to rest my legs. The food I had for breakfast was delicious, the cereal, the cinnamon roll. So a super easy strategy. It's very simple, but it's very effective. If you take out the word that you don't know and you try to put in a word that makes sense, very often you're going to come up with a word that's super close to the meaning of the word, which is a nice strategy because you can use it all the time, anytime. Okay, this time I'm going to give you a sentence with a blank in it, and I want you to write the word that would make sense. So we'll kind of practice that strategy. Instead of me giving you Blanc, I want you to see if you can come up with the word that makes sense. I used a blank to cut the sandwich in half. I used a blank to cut the sandwich in half. Go ahead and write it, please. That's okay. That way everybody can answer. So you can write the sentence, or you can just write the single word. I used a blank to cut the sandwich in half. What word is going to make sense? Very good. You're each writing the word. Go ahead, say it. I used a
Knife.
Perfect. Now,
Or a butter knife.
a knife or a butter knife. Good. Now, here is where you can raise your hand for this. What was the clue in the sentence that told you knife was going to make sense? Go ahead.
Because
Layla.
when you cut a sandwich, you use a butter knife because it's easy.
Yeah, so very good. The word cut. You know that a knife cuts. So they needed something to cut. A knife cuts. Very good. Okay, now it's going to get a little bit tougher. I have a few sentences that I'm going to give you, but these are real sentences, and the vocabulary word that you need to find the meaning of, is a real word. Okay, so no more blocking. So we're really going to use context clues to try to figure the meaning. Tyndall, what you need, honey? When you're done, you may be reading quietly and taking AR tests. Max, reading quietly, please. You may read around the room if you'd like, as long as you're not talking to anybody. Okay, you ready? The building was so dilapidated that it looked as if a strong wind blew, it would crumble to the ground. I'm going to read that again. The building was so dilapidated that it looked as if a strong wind blew, it would crumble to the ground. Dilapidated. It's a real vocabulary word. I tried to think of something that you wouldn't know the meaning of.
Yeah.
So the building was so dilapidated that it looked as if a strong wind blew, it would crumble to the ground. So what do you think dilapidated means? Do you want to try, Abby?
Like really, like tilted or sideways.
Tilted or sideways. Excellent. Why did you say tilted or sideways?
Because if a strong wind blew the same way it was tilting, like it was tilting that way, and a wind blew, a really strong wind blew, then it would probably fall together.
Okay. What else, girls? What are you thinking? What did you think, Layla, for dilapidated?
Could be like a little bit small.
Small? And what made you think small? So the building was so small.
Because small things can get blew by.
Small things can blow over. Okay, good. So we have small, we have leaning. What do you think?
It could break easily.
Could break easily. Very good. Now, each of your answers is completely reasonable based on that single sentence.
It could be a toy.
It could, right. But each of your answers is definitely reasonable based on that single sentence. One thing I want you to remember, though, is that when we really use context clues, often the sentence itself is not enough. Sometimes you have to read the whole paragraph. And the real definition, what did you say again, Callie?
It could break easily.
Break easily and right. So in this case, you guys are all super close. Dilapidated means like it's falling apart. If something is very run down, very old, it just looks like it's going to fall apart easily. But each of your answers was very reasonable. Okay, one more. When Billy Bob was told he won the drawing contest, he was dumbfounded because he didn't even enter his picture. When Billy Bob was told he won the drawing contest, he was dumbfounded because he didn't even enter his picture. So what do you think dumbfounded means?
I don't know that one.
I know, I tried to purposely pick words you've never heard of. All right, I'm going to read it again. Okay, I'm going to read it again. When Billy Bob was told he had won the drawing contest, he was dumbfounded because he didn't even enter the contest. So what do you think dumbfounded means? So dumbfounded. Good, I'm going to give the other girls a chance to think. Very good. All right. Layla, what did you write?
Confused.
Confused. Why was Billy Bob confused?
Because he didn't enter his picture.
Excellent. And you wrote, Abby?
Surprise.
And again, why was he surprised?
Because maybe someone saw it, but he never knew, like maybe using the bathroom.
Okay. And what did you put, Callie?
He was curious.
Definitely curious. So yeah, so dumbfounded is like surprised or confused times 100. Right? Like dumbfounded, like how could he possibly win a contest he didn't even enter? That doesn't, I mean, that's impossible, right? So dumbfounded is like you're just way beyond confused, like confused times 100. Okay, now what we're going to practice is we're actually going to practice using context clues to determine the meaning in a passage. All right, so you can slide your whiteboards and markers to the side. And don't even need a pencil. We're just going to read and discuss, okay? All right, so this passage is called A Day in My Life, Spain. So what do you think, Callie? Do you think this is going to be fiction or nonfiction? Or informational text? What do you think? That's what I'm thinking, informational text, right? Just like we did with our lesson this morning in language arts. And look at all these infographics we have. So we're going to be able to use some infographics or picture clues as well. All right, so a day in my life, Spain. And you can see the words that we're going to be focusing on in bold. Those are the words that we'll use context clues to try to determine. Since it's broken up, you can see also it's broken up into time frames here. So we'll just take turns reading kind of a paragraph. All right, so why don't you start for us, Abby, right over here, the first paragraph.
My name is
Esperanza
Balloon. I am 8 years old. I live in
Madrid.
Madrid, Spain. With my mama, papa, grandma, and my brother Carlos.
Excellent. All right, very good. All right, so Callie, 8 a.m.
8 a.m. I usually wake up around 8 a.m. I eat cereal with milk and watch TV on TV. After this, I get ready for school.
Okay, very good. Peyton, what are you doing, kiddo?
Helping on Ella's test. Well, because it said, so the book, in this book, it says that I couldn't take a test on it when it's the same level, but I actually can take a test.
Okay, I'll take a look at that later. So Peyton, there's nothing you can do, kiddo, to help her. She logged in correctly. Bella, I'll talk to you a little bit later about why it's not letting you test on it, okay? Peyton, can you please have a seat and continue reading your book?
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, continue 9 a.m.
9 a.m. My mom walks Carlos and me to school. It takes us about 20 minutes.
Perfect. Continue, please, Abby. 9:30 a.m.
My teacher,
Mrs. Sanchez.
Mrs. Sanchez, there are 29 kids in my class. We learn social studies, reading, writing,
Arithmetic.
art, and
Physical.
education.
Good, like PE. Okay, so arithmetic is in bold. All right, so the sentence is we learn social studies, reading, writing, arithmetic, art, and physical education. What do you think arithmetic might mean, Abby?
Like science or something?
Okay, possibly. Why do you think science?
Because like arithmetics are like
What clue? Remember, we're focusing on context clues. So what in that paragraph leads you to believe that arithmetic is science?
because it says that we learn like social studies and stuff.
Good.
And that's related to arithmetic and
Okay, very good. So they're listing social studies, reading, writing, art, and physical education, which are all things at school. Anybody have another guess as to what it might mean? Milton, have a seat, please. Anybody? Anybody else think anything different than science? Okay, well, I could see where you would think it was science because that is a subject that's not mentioned. What other subject is not mentioned in there that is something we do in school?
math.
Math. So I would say either math or science would make sense. Continue, please, Callie, with 12 p.m.
12 p.m. This is my favorite time of the day. Lunchtime. Carlos and I go home for lunch with my family. My mom and papa.
My papa.
My papa even comes home for lunch. My mama cooks a
Massive.
massive meal that includes an appetizer, main course,
And dessert.
dessert. My favorite is seafood.
Seafood paella.
Paella is a dish of rice and seafood. After lunch, we take a
Siesta.
Or nap.
Excellent. Okay, we have 3 vocabulary words in there to talk about. All right, so Callie, I want you to look at massive first. So the sentence is, my mama cooks a massive meal that includes an appetizer, a main course, and a dessert. What do you think massive means?
Like, really big.
Good, a really big meal. And what in that sentence leads you to believe that? What's the clue in the sentence that helps you determine the meaning of massive?
Meal.
Okay, I would say keep going because a meal doesn't have to be massive, right? It could be small. What in the sentence tells you that it's a massive meal? It's all right. Give her a chance to think, please.
Appetizer.
Yep, it includes an appetizer. Anything else? What is included in that massive meal in addition to an appetizer? Can you read that sentence? It says, my mama cooks.
A massive meal that includes an appetizer, main course,
And,
dessert.
all right, so it includes all of those things. So that's what makes it, what did you say massive meant?
Like a big meal.
A big meal, because it's 3 different things, right? You get an appetizer, then you get a main course, and you get a dessert.
2:30.
Layla? Nope, actually we have a couple more words to talk about. My favorite is seafood paella. Paella is a dish of rice and seafood. What is paella?
A seafood dish of rice and
There you go. So in this case, the author was pretty nice and told us what it was. So sometimes, again, remember, it's not just the single sentence. So if you just say, my favorite is seafood paella, we know it's food, but we don't know what kind of food other than it has seafood. But the next sentence tells you it's a dish of rice and seafood. And we have the nice little infographic. We have a picture of it. All right, last one. After lunch, we take a small siesta or nap. What is a siesta?
maybe like they take like a resting, like watching TV or
A
something.
rest. Go ahead and read the very last sentence for us under 12 p.m. After lunch.
After lunch, we take a small siesta or nap.
So what's a siesta?
Basically a nap.
Exactly. And this is another tool or strategy that authors do. If they want to tell you the meaning of the word, instead of just saying, paella is a dish of rice and seafood, after lunch we take a small siesta, comma, or nap. So the author is telling you that a siesta is a nap. All right.